They're big burdens that unfortunately sit squarely on your shoulders. And if you're operating as a good leader, they have to stay there.
As a leader, you got to take care of yourself. I think it's actually a good model for your org. Like, take a vacation and don't take your phone. Don't check in.
Most people suck at the most important skill required to be a good leader, and that's hiring.
Be that. Teams need that anchor. Organizations need that anchor. Entry music. Da, 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 da. It's the Bob and Josh Show.
There's a new leader out there, and they think, who do I talk to? Who's the person that can help me figure this out? And the legendary Bob Galen pops into their head. They knock on Bob's door. They say, Mr. Galen, I'm thinking about becoming a leader. Talk me out of this. Tell me if this is a good plan or a bad plan. And that's what today's episode is. We are doing our traditional Bob has a list, I have a list, and we're going to help the new leader out on what they should be thinking about, what they should worry about, what they should lean into.
So what they should think about before they commit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Be careful what you ask for. You just might get it.
Yeah, facts.
Can I go first?
Yeah, please do.
All right. So, first one for me, I'm looking at my list. So don't get in it for the money, the ego, the prestige, the power, and all of those things are there with leadership, right? All of those things, no matter where you're at in the leadership hierarchy, it increases. Get in it because you care about people. So if you don't, if you're not driving, so do it if you're doing it because you're sort of perky about people and helping people. And if that's your driving goal around that, whatever words you want to use, then I'd say jump into the pond, to the leadership pond. If there's other factors around it, promotions, etc., and I'm talking about your driving. So what's your prime directive? Right, prime directive. It's okay to want money. It's okay to want power. I want power. Look at me, for God's sakes. Look what power did to me. So, but your prime directive is the people. That would be my first one.
Okay. So this person should take a little mental checklist and be like, okay, what are my drivers? Why am I doing this? Right?
Why? It's in one word. What's my why?
Yeah.
Right. What's my why?
Okay. Fair enough. All right. My first one is be ready for season 2, chapter 2 of your career. It is not linear growth as a independent contributor to now you're a leader. It's almost like a reset of you're starting anew, and there's a lot of folks, including myself, that were not prepared for that, and you expect that the trajectory just kind of continues, but you're doing a brand new thing, and it's hard. It's obviously not a simple thing. So I would make sure that person is prepared for what feels like a plateau, or it feels like, gosh, I'm not succeeding like I used to. And the primary ask that I would have for that person is to be patient with themselves, be patient with the system as you sort and figure that out. So that would be number one, is like, hey, know what you're getting into. Know that these first, few years are going to be a little bit, I don't know, challenging, more challenging than what you're used to as you figure this stuff out.
I mean, I'm gonna say yes and though, Josh.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen. I mean, I love what you said. You're right. You're right on. But I've also seen a phenomenon. What is it? The Peter Principle phenomenon, where you get promoted to beyond your capability, right? And you're promoted there for whatever reason. For not. You're promoted, in organizations. Sometimes it's not always the most promising or the most skilled people that get promoted.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's almost a trap. I'm going to put Josh there, and hopefully he'll fail and get rid of it. So what I'm saying is sometimes be prepared to work hard and hit a plateau, but also be prepared or be aware of the Peter principle in organizations, and don't get cocky. Like, be self-aware. So why am I here? I mean, why did I get this? I wasn't even operating at this level. Sometimes workforce reductions can cause that. You can get promoted because of rifts and things like that. So just be aware of that.
Yeah, I remember early in my career, I was offered a VP title in like year 2, and I'm like, this doesn't feel right.
That's exactly my point.
I'm not sure this is the right move. Like, yeah, it's cool, but why are they doing this? And it turns out they were, money was a struggle. They were trying to keep me, trying to come up with all these reasons for me to stay.
Yeah.
And I was just like, boy, and I was very early, I was year 2, right? So
Yeah.
I was like, this is not right. So yeah.
I love this flow so far, Josh. Good one, though. Really good one. I would say second one for me is realize that and we've talked about this in the Metacast occasionally, it's lonely at the top. Realize, and the top is not the CEO. It's lonely in leadership, management and leadership positions and senior leadership positions. And the higher you go, I think the lonelier you are.
Yeah.
But there's a loneliness factor. You have to change your behavior to some degree. We've talked about not losing your connection, not losing your humanity and your relationship building to your team. But at the same time, you have to realize you are now, him or her. You are now them. You are now in this, like, people look up when they're at the bar and they're complaining about work. And they look up, if only they had a clue, you're now in that cloud of they. And it changes the dynamics. And so just be aware of that. Don't let that be, I'm not trying to have that be a reason where you wouldn't lean into leadership, particularly if you have the right focus, the right why. But be aware of that. That was hard for me to navigate. I'm a very personable guy. And it took me a few years to realize it's like, it's freaking different. And people are changing their behavior slightly, and I have to change mine slightly. And to be honest, I didn't like it at the start. I wasn't comfortable with it.
Yeah, something I want to double down on with that is that you end up carrying weights that you can't share, that you have to burden on your own. And sure, it would be nice to talk to a friend or a buddy or somebody that's on the team and be able to offload that, but that's like the wrong thing to do. And so those burdens can weigh on you, and it's stuff that sticks with you in the evening. You struggle to sleep, or whatever. They're big burdens that unfortunately sit squarely on your shoulders. And if you're operating as a good leader, they have to stay there. There's nowhere for them to go, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's the job. And that sucks at times because there's just nothing you can do about it.
Okay. You know what, Metacasters? My buddy is just getting better and better with age. So he nailed it just then. And it just made me smile. He just he nailed the nuance. Josh, you're up.
Nuance, that's my new middle name. Okay, here's a pet peeve of mine about leadership. Most people suck at the most important skill required to be a good leader, and that's hiring. They don't do it often, and when they do, they underinvest in the process. So my advice to that person is get good at hiring, and that's not easy. That takes hard work. It's a skill that experience is required, but it can be practiced, and you can work at it. And don't wait until it's time to hire your first person to try and figure that out. Like, dig in now, and I would give them different people to reach out to or things to read or whatever to figure out, and I would work with them and mentor them on how to figure that out, because that was something that I got good at later than I would have liked to. So early in my career, I worked for insurance company that was becoming a technology company. I was part of that wave, and so they were unwilling to pay the salaries that were needed. So I could only afford juniors, and then I would grow them, and then they would go get more money elsewhere because we wouldn't pay. And so I was forced into having to get good at hiring because I was in this revolving door. But I wasn't as intentional about it as I would have liked to have been. And I look back and think, man, I wish I focused more on the skill of hiring sooner. It wouldn't have solved the problem at that insurance company, but I think I would have been more effective in that whole process. So that was a thing in my journey that kind of shook me and made me figure that out, because I was complaining to my boss, and she was just like, "Yep, that's the way it is. So you can find great people, have them here for a year or two, celebrate that, and then go find another one, or you can complain about it. So pick which one you want to do." And it was good advice. I didn't like it at the time, but it was good advice.
I made a quick costume change, Josh. I put a hat on because I was tired looking at the shiny skull up there. So Metacasters, I'm back in the saddle again. I'm back. I want to bring up some nuance to what Josh just said. I would say anticipatory hiring.
Oh yeah.
Like, you're not just hiring for today. So there's a team, so there's the past and the present, and then there's the where you're going. Where's budget going? Where's growth going? Where's acquisitions going? Depending on your context, but you're going somewhere. There may be technology changes and things. So you not only want to be good at hiring, you want to be ahead in your hire, or at least me. I always felt like there was a strategic aspect to my hiring. I wasn't just looking for bodies. And I wasn't looking for unicorns all the time. I mean, I was looking for really highly skilled, complementary, diversity sets of people. But I had to look ahead. Sometimes I was hiring for succession, and sort of who could be a team leader, etc. So I wasn't looking too far down the road, but I was probably looking a year, 6 months to a year and a half down the road sometimes in my hiring, and anticipating possibilities.
Yeah, I that is another thing I didn't learn until later in life. I was always reactive in hiring with whatever budget I had, and then working with people like Bob and other people that Bob and I worked with and for, I learned how to navigate that system and look ahead and start to lay the foundation for what was next, and always moving in that direction. So yes, thank you, sir.
Cool. My next one is, I would tell the person, I'm like, when you go in, I want you to learn. So there's going to be role models around you. Not mentors as much. You could find mentors, but it's really role models, just observing. And so learn from the good ones and learn even more from the bad ones. And learn from those folks. So be watching your peers. Watching leaders in the organization and having the wherewithal to discern, right? I may report to someone and they're a crappy leader. So, and trust me, in my life, and I'm not whining, this is true, this is reality. I've reported to more crappy leaders than I have good ones, and great ones have been not around very much. I've had a few great ones. I've learned from the great ones. I've learned a lot from the great ones. I think fundamentally, though, my biggest learning is I don't want to be like that ass, right? Try to kill me, shoot me now if I start treating people like this ass. And so it's both sides of the coin. So learn from those folks and have discernment. I'm really stuck on this word discernment of lately. I don't know why, but I think as leaders we have to have like a big discernment tool of discerning what is good and what is bad. and being, because there's all these shades of gray, and we need to be able to discern that relative to ourselves.
Yeah, my next one is in the same ballpark, but slightly different. And it's more lessons learned on my own, is be intentional with that. I was not intentional with seeking out support and leaders. And I think part of it was because early in my career, I didn't have a lot of good leaders. So I had a similar path to Bob, where I unfortunately didn't work for a lot of good leaders. So I started to scratch my head like, where are the good leaders? But that was 20 years ago. And the world has changed, and there's podcasts and Substacks and all these things that are out there, and ways for you to find, learn, and study good leaders and understanding what they are. And books have been around for a long time. So there's all of those things, but now it's easier to find and easier to see it in action. So I would really encourage you to be intentional about that. And I was not good enough at that early in my career, so I wandered a bit more than I would have liked, trying to find my path as a leader. And again, like Bob, was mostly driven by, I know what I don't want to be, but I still wasn't sure what good looked like.
Yep.
So I was trying a lot of different things to see where I landed. And there's like engineering leadership communities that are out there that now at age 50, right, I'm trying to get into, and I'm more of a mentor in that. But those have been around, but I didn't know that. I didn't invest. I didn't do a good enough job with that. So I would really encourage this person to find what works for them and leverage that as much as they can.
I love that. Oh, Metacasters, Josh mentioned, I forget the name of it, but Substacks. Josh, he's really reserved, and he doesn't like to talk about himself, but he has a wonderful Substack. What is it called?
The Leadership Lighthouse.
Oh my gosh, what a name!
Oh yeah.
How subtle. So the Leadership Lighthouse. No. In all seriousness, Metacasters, I subscribe to it. I think I might even pay something for it. I have to go check.
I think you might. You should probably stop doing that. I wonder if I can reject that.
No, but it's like, I think so. If you know me, I'm pretty damn cheap. So if I'm paying for something, there's a little bit of value there. Let me tell you. So no, in all seriousness, Josh has a wonderful Substack, Metacasters, and in all of the leadership, you should be subscribing to it. My next one, I have a set of 3 points that I ended with. Do you have another one, Josh, or are you done?
I'm tapped out, but I'm sure I can come up with something.
All right. So I have 2 that I'm going to put together: self-care, and then get a mentor and coach. Mm-hmm. And really, I think it's related to what Josh was just saying. It's take care of yourself. It goes back to loneliness. It goes back to it's a freaking hard job. Right? Leadership is incredibly nuanced, incredibly broad and deep. It's really challenging, depending on your context, depending on good and bad ones, all of this stuff, the teams. But take care of yourself. It's easy to lose sight of you. And I say this to coaches, agile coaches. They're coaching other people, and they don't take care of themselves. As a leader, you got to take care of yourself. I think it's actually a good model for your org. Like, take a vacation, and don't take your phone. Don't check in. We talked a little bit about leaders that work-life balance, and they're always taking mail on emails, and they can't decouple from it, from the organization, from their teams, and so decouple, and then get a mentor or coach. And now this is not just looking at role models. This is actually reaching out to someone. And asking for help. There's not enough of that in the world, particularly if you're a newbie, particularly if you're new in this or relatively new. You got to have the humility to ask for help, the self-awareness and the humility to ask for help. My final point, unless Josh has a reaction, is it's freaking worth it. It's worth it. I'm trying to think of an analogy. Politicians, in general, politics sucks, I think. But one of the things that creates is when there's someone who's good, like a lighthouse politician, they stand out to me, at least to me, so much, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's actually a difference.
Hmm.
There's a light. I'm not joking. There's a light coming out of this mass of political BS, and there's lights. There's not a lot of them, but there's lights, and they make a difference, and they influence, and they shine out, and they have direct influence and indirect influence, and it makes a difference. And so, what I'm saying is, this field, this profession of, and I'm talking about good leadership, not poor, not ego driven, but good leadership. I'm convinced that my race, look at me, I'm sort of towards the end of my race. I am convinced that it was a good fight.
Hmm.
Is a worthwhile fight or journey. It was worth it. Every pain I had was worth it. Every time that I took one for the team was worth it. It's actually very much worth it. So what I'm saying is, if you have the right why, get in there,
Yeah.
get into the battlefield and just try it out. Josh, final
Yeah.
words.
I second that. It certainly is a roller coaster ride, but without a doubt, happy I got on, right? It's one of those things you get on the ride and you start to second guess, like, is this the right ride for me? And then you are halfway through the ride and like, this is fantastic. You want to get right back on. The last thing I want to leave people with is circling back to discernment that Bob brought up, but I want to bring it up in patterns and practices. And don't be too quick to jump on bandwagons when you start.
Ooh,
Right?
ooh.
There's a lot of frameworks or patterns or theories that people have out there. Find what works for you, and there's a lot of good stuff out there, but dip your toe in them, experiment with them, but don't go all in right away. Go in with an experimental mindset and finding what works for you. I see a lot of folks that earlier in their career, and this happens when you get promoted into a company that does things a certain way, that you get, this is something that we've talked about, a term, like you end up getting pickled into, this is how they lead. So now that's the kind of leader that you are, whether it's good or bad, you just fall into that groove. And I would ask this person to try and fight that fight. And it's going to be hard because you don't have the answers. And you look around and maybe that's the only thing that you see. But just because it's the only thing you see right in front of you doesn't mean it's the right answer. And that's a difficult spot to put yourself in, but I believe it will help you become a better leader down the line. But there's a lot of people that just, and I believe this is how we get the situation we're in, where there's more bad leaders than good leaders, because they just get pickled by the leaders that they see around them, and they believe that's what good leadership looks like, because that's just what it was. And so that's a hard thing to do, to know what good looks like when you just don't know. But just be discerning as you look around and think about, what kind of leader do I want to be based on the leadership that I see right in front of me.
As Josh was talking, Metacasters, and I think you really nailed the ending. The vision I had was, I've seen these pictures sometimes of lighthouses in the North Sea, in the British North Sea, and there's this lighthouse, and it's on a little island or a little rock, and the waves are freaking beating up against the rock and even against the lighthouse, and the lighthouse has stood for decades against the waves beating it, depending on the weather. And to me, it's an anchor. That's the metaphor that I was thinking about and I'd love to, that's the lighthouse and the leadership lighthouse. It's not a lighthouse in a little sandy beach with people with
Yeah.
umbrellas around them. No, this is a freaking lighthouse that stands against the storm, that stands against sort of, all of these ideas that are hitting it. It's an anchor Be that. Teams need that anchor. Organizations need that anchor. That doesn't mean you're stayed. That doesn't mean you don't adjust to all of the things that are emerging. But you're not knee jerking. You're an anchor, right? There's no bandwagonitis. You do things quickly but slowly, right? You have caution. You build your wisdom over time. You have that courage to say, hey, pause a second and let me check with other people, etc. You stand. That's the leader you want to be. That anchor lighthouse.
Yeah, that vision is good because you will get questioned, you will get challenged when you're leading well. From all directions, from your team, from your leaders, from the board, from whatever. You do have to try and be that beacon, that lighthouse that's kind of standing against all of those waves and things that are attacking you. So yeah, it's a challenge, but to Bob's point, it's worth it.
It's absolutely worth it. Metacasters, be that anchor in the storm. Be that rock in the storm. You can do it. So that's what I would be sharing with that person. And I love where we went with this. I think we set the tone for that newbie. We'll call them George. Okay. We set George up. I believe. Right. We nailed it. So from beautiful downtown Cary, North Carolina.
And beautiful downtown Fuquay Arena, North Carolina.
I am Bob, the Discern Master Galen.
And I'm Josh Anderson.
Shake and bake. Take care, y'all. Josh, I thought you had one ready. No.
You lost me with the Discern Master.
I am the master of discernment.